Hey guys, Zoose here. Welcome to this Ekko guide for Season 9. Ekko, the fast-paced, time-warping assassin, has one of the most unique playstyles, playmaking, bursting, and potential to turn entire teamfights around with a perfectly timed parallel convergence or ultimate. Ekko sits on a fine balance. Timing is everything. 0.1 second too late and you're done. 0.1 second too early and you're useless. It's all about that perfect sweet spot, which will take a certain amount of games under your belt. This guide will help you achieve that, no matter what your goal is. So hurry up, let's get started before time runs out. I've looked over the best statistic websites, observed pro players, and tested them myself to find the most optimal and efficient builds as well as playstyles. After playing League for 5 years now, I reached Challenger last season, but what I'm really passionate about is constantly improving in all roles and playstyles as well as adapting to League's ever-changing meta. I plan to achieve Challenger in all roles next season, so if you want to be part of a community that focuses on constant improvement, press subscribe to join, and let's start this journey with the aim of reaching our highest potential in Season 9. Before we get into builds, let's quickly go over abilities as well as the specific tips for each. Your passive applies a resonance stack every time you auto or hit damaging abilities on an enemy. Once you activate the third stack, it deals percentage health damage, which scales with AP, which is doubled against monsters, and if the target is a champ, you gain movement speed. This passive is essential for trades in lane, giving you the ability to run back to safety, crucial for a melee champ like Ekko. Use this to clear waves faster and even take your jungle camps, as well as the enemy jungle camps and objectives. Hitting your other abilities is great, but getting the damage from your passive could be the difference from a kill or even an enemy escaping. So don't forget to get those extra auto attacks in. Your Q is your bread and butter for laning. It allows you to safely farm, clear waves and poke. It's an AoE skill shot thrown forward, which deals damage and applies a slow. The second part is the return, dealing damage only, which has a higher AP ratio and about the same base stats. This ability has the potential to proc 2 resonance stacks. Ekko's W also has 2 parts. A passive which deals percentage health of targets missing health below 30% HP every basic attack. The active creates a field. After 3 seconds, the field becomes a slow area, and if Ekko enters it after the 3 seconds, he is shielded and stuns any enemies in the field. Ekko's E also has 2 parts. The first part is a dash, perfect for gap closing and dodging skill shots. The second part increases his auto attack range to 300 units, slightly lower than most ranged champs, blinking to a target and dealing bonus AP damage. Finally, his ultimate. Once you level this ability and it's not on cooldown, you'll have a hologram of yourself following you with a 4-second delay. Once activated, you blink back to the hologram, deal damage to enemies in an AoE and heal yourself. It has a huge AP ratio of 150%. We'll go through more specifics in other sections, specifically combos. Before we go over specifics, here is a cheat sheet you can use ASAP. There are 2 options for the second path, Sorcery and Inspiration, both explained later on in this section. The major rune that works perfectly with Ekko's playstyle is Electrocute. Great for early trades, a simple EQ auto will proc this rune. Try to go for trades when this is off cooldown, since you want to deal the most optimal damage for your mana use, especially if you use your W in your combo. Sudden Impact is procced mainly from your E as well as your ultimate, giving Ekko some extra magic and armor pen, synergizing perfectly with his abilities and his auto attack usage. Eyeball Collection is Ekko's best bet to snowball, giving him additional AP per takedown. Ghost Poro is just as viable, especially if vision is a priority against a huge jungle threat. Ekko has great escape potential, so placing this in an enemy territory will provide Ekko with some extra AP. Ravenous Hunter as the final rune. The sustain this provides will help Ekko through his vulnerable laning stage, as well as when it's fully stacked later on. Now let's go over the 2 second paths, Sorcery and Inspiration. Sorcery is the most common, with a very solid win rate all round and picked frequently in high elo. First most common rune is Absolute Focused. Against lanes that don't constantly poke and harass you to below 70% HP, it will provide extra AP when you go for trades. The extra AP can also help with clearing waves. It has a decent synergy with our previously picked Ravenous Hunter, helping you maintain HP above 70%. Transcendence is viable over Absolute Focus if maintaining above 70% HP isn't likely against a certain team comp. With Protobelt, Lich, Bane, and Zhonyas as your core build, this rune will cap your CDR at 40%. The second most optimal and common rune is Gathering Storm. This provides AP every 10 minutes, but it's specifically the 20 minute 24 AP you get and 30 minute 48 AP that will most likely make this rune viable. The potential to burst at 30 minute mark will be insane, especially with a 150% AP ratio on your ultimate. Inspiration is the second optimal path. Magical footwear is one of the most cost effective runes, essentially saving you 400 gold for completed boots. There will be plenty of games where you simply cannot farm safely, so you'll naturally miss CS, so this rune will make up for it. Ekko still has plenty of mobility with a dash and blink in his E, as well as his third proc from his passive, so not purchasing boots early is a sacrifice he can make. And speaking of missing CS in tougher lanes, Minion Dematerializer is a great rune to pick up some early CS, as well as amplifying damage against the 3 types of minions for the rest of the game. A common usage of this rune is 1 on cannon, 1 to 3 on the melee minions, and 2 to 4 on the range minions. As long as you get 1 for each of the 3 types, you'll make the most of this rune. Other viable runes in this path is Cookie, providing health and mana, something Ekko needs in his lackluster early laning phase. And Wave Tonic, for enhanced stats from potions, specifically Corruption Potion, which is his number 1 preferred starting item. These last 2 runes won't be necessary if you decide to buy 2 Dark Seals early on. The amount of extra stats and healing these provide allow us to skip healing runes and focus on the cost efficiency and wave clearing speed, something I highly recommend after observing a certain Ekko main in high elo Korea. To summarize and help you make this decision easy, if the enemy laner isn't a huge threat and you want to prioritize damage for late game, take Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm. If your laner is a constant poke and harass threat, take Magical Footwear and Minion Dematerializer to make up for your gold you will lose playing passively. In summoner spells, we'll go over TP, which can help you further in tougher lanes. The most optimal starting item is Corruption Potion. It has the health and mana Ekko needs to withstand poke and harass, as well as use abilities to push or even go for trades. It even provides some extra burn damage. I want to especially go over a specific purchase of 2 Dark Seals. With 2 Dark Seals plus Corruption Potion, you will increase the healing by 50% and gain other useful stats including AP and mana. Sure, they lose some value later on when you need to sell them for major buys, but they serve such an important role to maintain pressure, especially being a melee champ in those tough lanes. If you're unsure of tough lanes, you can go and check out the hard matchups in that section. Even in some easy medium lanes, the double Dark Seal first back guarantees safety and dominance in lane. After 2 Dark Seals, build a Hextech Revolver for the extra damage proc with your auto. With this item and your Dematerializer procs, you'll be able to clear the back minion wave with a single Q. I want to quickly mention a less popular but extremely cost effective start, Dark Seal and refillable potions. You'll save gold from not having to buy health potions, and the Dark Seal will increase healing of the refillable potions. First major buy is Protobelt, an amazing playmaking item for Ekko. You now have potential to one-shot certain squishy targets, especially if you can land your ultimate. This Protobelt active can sometimes allow you to gap close certain mobile champs to ensure you proc your 3rd stack from your passive. Sorc boots are highly recommended for 2nd tier boots. The movement speed plus magic penetration is perfect for Ekko. However, if there are 3 to 5 AD champs on the enemy team, Ninja Tabis are optimal. Usually if you're up against AD mids like Zed, Talon, Yasuo, Aatrox, this is a perfect item for that situation. Merc treads are just as viable if the enemy team is mostly AP or they stack a lot of CC. You should particularly be cautious of any hard CC that stops you from ulting. Cleanse is an option too, and we'll go over that in the summoner section. Lich Bane is the more favourable option as the 3rd item, with Zhonya's being a close second, depending on ally and enemy team comps. Lich Bane will allow you to chunk enemies along with your E, which makes it easy to proc the passive damage you get from this item. Great CDR and movement speed for Ekko's playstyle. You'll be a split pushing threat at this stage. Zhonya's will play a bigger importance once you'll need to go in deep into teamfights. Certain CC, like snares that pose a threat, will allow you to activate Zhonya's, but not your ultimate. Once you're out of Zhonya's, you can then have the option to either ult or continue fighting with other abilities. You can also proc W stun within Zhonya's active, increasing Ekko's playmaking ability. That's pretty much your core build at this stage. The next items are situational. Morellos can actually be purchased after Sorcs in some cases, especially if reduced healing is a necessity against heavy healing comps like Soraka or Amundo. It will still give you plenty of AP, some magic pen and HP. Deathcap is perfect for snowballing a lead. With this item completed, you will literally wipe out any squishies that take damage from your ultimate. This is what makes getting through those tough laning phases all worth it. Void Staff is a necessity for later on when teams stack MR. Of course, Mejai's can be bought when you start picking up kills early on. I would still recommend it after your Protobelt and Sorks. Once you start building any of these items, selling one of your 2 Dark Seals is fine. Then I like to sell 1 Corruption Potion after that, then the final Dark Seal if I get to a 6th item late game. For certain matchups, a QSS is necessary early, especially against something like Malzahar. Banshees as a final defensive option is great too in certain games. The first and most optimal summoner spell is Flash, gap closing, escapes and playmaking, perfect on Ekko. Ignite as the second summoner. This increases your kill potential, especially in the early game against easy to medium laners. Ever since the TP nerf, restricting your ability to cancel it, Ignite has been a more effective summoner spell. However, being a melee champ in mid lane, there are certain matchups that will simply poke and harass you so much that you will be forced to back early and TP will be necessary if you want to stay at least even in CS and XP. Another advantage is the ability to split push, with the option of teleporting into your team whenever they engage or get engaged on. Cleanse is the final option, specifically taken against any hard CC champs that seriously threaten to counter you in lane and teamfights where you need to go in deep. A simple press of Lyssandra's ult, for example, will end your chance to make any impact, so this spell might be necessary. Let's quickly go over some auto attack and animation cancels that will be used in your combos. You can cancel the Q animation by pressing E for dash, immediately press Q and E blink to your target. This shoots out Q really early, so if you're on top of an enemy, they'll be instantly slowed and damaged from Q. E is an auto attack reset. Even though you'll need your E to get close to an enemy, if you're already in auto range, you can auto attack then E for 2 quick passive procs. Q plus flash cancels Q animation and sends out the Q from the direction before you flashed. Q plus Protobelt slightly cancel the Q animation, you must Q then immediately Protobelt. You can cancel the W animation by dashing with E, then immediately W to the target location. You can still hear the W ability, but your enemy won't see the animation that's usually telegraphed. It will take the enemy extra focus to hear it coming, but you'll catch some enemies off guard. Okay, so the most common trade combo, especially in lane, dash with your E, then immediately Q and blink to an enemy for the damage, slow, and the second proc. This will apply damage, slow, and the second passive proc, and then you can auto while they are slow to proc the third passive stack and Electrocute. And of course you want to try and position yourself with the aim of having the return Q hit the enemy for the optimal damage. A second part to this will include throwing your W in an area where you predict the enemy will be in the next 3 seconds. This will highly increase the chance of the return Q damage as well as getting some extra autos in. So this is the most important combo. Apart from being your major trade combo, it will get you kills in and out of lane and you won't even need the damage from your ult later on against some squishies. The most optimal combo for full damage is W, E, Q, 2 autos, return Q, and then R, assuming the enemy is within the hologram range. Sure, this does the most damage possible with a full rotation of your spells, but it's not always realistic since your hologram is 4 seconds behind, and sometimes your hologram won't be in the right position. This is perfect in the brush when you predict an enemy is coming towards you or you're still fighting in the same area you were 4 seconds ago. You can add Zhonyas after E, especially in fights where things get really messy and there are a lot of CC threats. After Zhonyas, hopefully your hologram is within enemy range and you can press R immediately after coming out of the Zhonya's active. The time warp into stun. W, run away. As enemy chases you through the W, press R as the line from your hologram is in the W zone. You don't have to be in the zone to proc the stun, just simply time warp through it. This catches enemies off guard. Low HP bait. Not so much a combo, but more of a playstyle. Fight within an area that your hologram is located. When the enemy tries to finish you off, press R, regain health, deal damage, then finish them off with other abilities. The quick in and out. E dash, Q immediately, blink to the target with your E, auto, Protobelt, then R instantly to safety. If they're not already dead, your Q will return and damage them, hopefully finishing them off. Ignite anytime you need the extra damage. This allows you to pull off some really risky plays, getting in really deep, outputting as much damage as possible, and then completely getting out safely with your ultimate. You'll miss a lot of damage from your ultimate, but hopefully if they're squishy enough, or they're low health, you'll finish them off. The shifty objective steal. Again, another very common playstyle, not so much a combo. While enemies are grouped together in Baron or Dragon Pit, W, dash over the wall, aim to be in the stun zone, Either Q the Baron or the Dragon, final 5% HP moment. Q aiming to hit either the enemies and the monster at target, either Dragon or Baron. Protobelt, then either R out for safety or continue fighting to clean up low health targets if they've gone for a risky Dragon or Baron call. This allows you to go in really deep and try to pull off those crazy last second objective steals. The stun area will give you a bit of safety. Now, even though this is highly unlikely to steal against a good jungler, you can always press R just to get out back to safety. It's a pretty low risk and high reward playmaking technique. The Great Escape. While running away from enemies, E to dash over walls and force the enemies to use their gap closes. Then ult back out for safety, using W as a slow zone restricting any other enemies from catching up. The Tower Bait Stun. Aim to have an enemy tower almost down. W on top of the tower, exactly where you are. Keep hitting the tower. Enemies will try to attack you to chase you off the tower. However, they'll have to run or they'll get stunned while you take tower. It's not really a combo again, but the effective use of that W gives enemies little hope of defending the tower at the last moments. Another little tip, your Q will follow you on its return. So you can always flash at any time right before the Q returns to reposition it and guarantee that second part Q damage. Ekko is an extremely mobile champion with plenty of playmaking mechanics. His E is a dash and a blink, his W has potential to slow and stun enemies, his ult can travel to wherever his hologram is, and his third proc on his passive gives him a burst of movement speed. He is extremely slippery. He has safe wave clear for a melee champ, making him a decently safe first pick once you're experienced with the tougher matchups. He fits into any team comps since he provides both plenty of damage and CC. Amazing zoning and objective control, especially with his W. By placing it in tight areas of the map, you can force enemy squishies to think twice before they move up for a fight. He has plenty of AoE damage with his Q and ultimate. Ekko can split push pretty fast once he has Lich Bane completed. With plenty of outplay potential, enemies will be forced to send at least 2 to deal with your pressure, especially if you're ahead. Great late game scaling. With Deathcap, you can burst squishies with a simple E, Q, auto and Protobelt combo. He does well in 2v2 skirmishes early on. He soaks up a lot of pressure in teamfights with the option of ulting out or Zhonyas at any time. After 2 Duck Seals and some AP, he pushes waves really fast, allowing him to roam or just force certain champs to miss CS under tower. Now let's go over some weaknesses. Your laning phase can be your downfall. Taking too much poke and harass can leave you behind in CS and experience. If you master his vulnerability early on, you'll reap rewards once you get Protobelt and start making plays. You're completely useless once you're CC'd. A single stun can end your life in a fight, since you won't be able to ult. Cleanse QSS or simply following up your team's engage instead of hard engaging yourself will require patience, but will be worth it in the long run. Timing your ultimate takes practice and plenty of games. Players, including pros, wait way too long or are way too early when using their ultimate. You don't have to wait until you're 1 HP to know that it's likely you'll get burst or CC'd right at the end. You also don't have to ult too early just because you positioned a little aggressively. Find that right balance with enough games under your belt. He only has one targeted ability, his E. His Q is easy to dodge unless you're up close. His W has a 3-second channel time, which is telegraphed if you're in vision. Try to be creative by channeling your W behind a wall, in a brush or simply out of vision. His ult is also telegraphed, so enemies will always know when it's up or on cooldown. Smarter players won't walk within your hologram area, so it will take some extra creativity and perfect timing to land them consistently. Even though there's already quite a lot of tips throughout this guide already, let's briefly go over some important ones. His W has a telegraphed animation, so enemies will know when it's coming. In lane, use it near a river brush, which shouldn't be warded by the way. Hopefully you can buy a control ward and control that little area. Proccing your W in this brush will hide the animation. Simply walk towards minions and then dash towards the enemy if they're within the W zone. You can simply use the shield from W to tank any damage, giving you a safer push if you can't stun the enemy. How well you use this ability will separate the average Ekko players from the great ones. You can use your ult as a quick teleport. Go back to base, purchase anything you need, heal some HP and mana if needed, then ult to return. This has to be done within 4 seconds. Although you become less of a threat and you leave yourself vulnerable while your ult is down, you can use this to gain CS that you would have lost, help a team do an important objective, or even outplay an enemy that just happened to be on your hologram. Remember, you can use this after a TP to back out as well, if things turn ugly. Your E is technically 2 gap closes, giving you the ability to dash a small distance and then blink to a clickable target. You have potential to escape or catch an enemy over 2 walls, even the same wall twice. The blink part of E will always follow the enemy even if they flash. Obviously this can put you in a bad situation sometimes, but it may also lead to a secured kill. Try to use your W to change CC with your ally. You have a 3-second delay, so after an ally has CC'd a champ, it will be easier to land your W. Sometimes your role isn't just to go in deep. It may be best to try and peel for an ally, squishy champ, especially ADCs, using your W stun and Q slow in particular. Remember, he's an extremely dynamic champion, so with enough game experience, you'll be able to decide for yourself what's the most effective strategy for that particular game. Let's quickly outline what makes matchups easy, medium, or hard. An easy matchup includes low kill pressure, you can dodge their poke and harass, you outdamage them in small trades, and they have low CC. A medium matchup is usually balanced. It can be won by skill, outplaying, and dodging skill shots. A hard matchup means Ekko will lose most trades, they have high kill potential or heavy CC, especially click target CC. Hard matchups can still be outplayed, but generally they need to mess up in order for you to gain an advantage. Easy matchups. Aurelion Sol. Farm until you're level 3 to 4, then look for your W combo trades. His Q is easy to dodge if you're right up close to him, or just use your E to dodge it if he uses it from far away. Most Aurelion Sols will just push waves and look for roams as early as level 2, so be ready to ward and ping your teammates if you predict a roam. Use your movement speed to proc your passive to retreat after a trade. His most consistent damage is from his W, and since you have all the movement speed and dashing to dodge it, he won't be much of a threat. Anivia. You can dodge her Q easily with your E since it's a very slow moving projectile. Go for combos whenever you can. It's hard to kill her with her egg passive up. Even at level 6 you can always evade her ult area and even use dash through her wall. She'll likely just farm and push after 6. Annie. Just farm safely and go for trades when her stun is down. Her stun is at 4 procs under her health bar. You have the choice to push the wave so she's forced to use her abilities to farm. You can buy mercs to counter her flash all in. MR plus the tenacity will get you out of the CC early and you can just ult yourself out for safety. She's now lost most of her kill pressure for the next 5 minutes. Corki, you're pretty safe to go for aggressive trades after level 2. Even if he uses his W to retreat, it costs a lot of mana for him and it has a high cooldown. Your E will come up quicker and cost less. Watch out when he has his package and ping your team if you predict he'll go for a roaming gank. Karthus. His Qs are easy to dodge. He has low mobility, so go for trades and W stuns when it's safe. Your shield from W will absorb a lot of his E defile damage. If he ever ults and you risk dying, you can just use your ult to dodge or heal. Lux. Farm safely until level 3, then go for W-E-Q trades. Her immobility will make it hard to dodge your W. Dodge her abilities with your E when possible. If she ever misses or wastes her Q snare, punish her. She still has potential to burst you after level 6 only if she hits a Q, which will be followed up by her ultimate. Orianna. She'll poke you early on, but after level 4 you'll out-trade her if you can get close enough to combo. Very hard for her to kill you after 6 with your ult up. Syndra. Not a complete walkover, but you have the mobility to dodge her most important ability, which is her E stun. Go for trades while her stun is down and it's safe. Cancel her ult damage with your ult. You still must play cautiously from level 1 to 4 by farming with your Q. Twisted Fate. Anytime his W pick a card is on cooldown, go for a hard trade and even try to all in him if he's low enough. He's immobile, so try to go for a W stun combo after level 3. At level 6 he will most likely push waves and just go for roams. Try to ward up right behind that river wall and ping your team when he hits level 6. Watch out for his yellow stun card in lane, since it's likely to be followed up by a gank if he's acting aggressive. Veigar. His only threat is his stun, but it's telegraphed, so you can dodge it with your E. Play aggressive when it's on cooldown. His immobility makes it easy to land the W stun. If he ever ults you and there's a chance you'll die, just ult for safety. Vel'Koz, an immobile squishy champ. Try to land your W stun and go for trade combos. Stay out of vision and become a threat. All Vel'Koz abilities are skill shot, so use your dash, blink and movement speed to dodge them. Xerath, pretty much the same as Vel'Koz. Ziggs, another skill shot based champ. Depending on how well you dodge and use your E, you have everything to burst and outplay Ziggs. Don't dash through his minefield. Zilean, although really seen, just dodge his second bomb. It's hard to kill him after 6, but he has low kill potential on you. He technically only has 1 damage ability, so just push him in and he'll be forced to use bombs to wave clear. Zoe, dodge her E, the sleep, with your E. Go for hard trades when it's down. You can always take cleanse in this matchup, and her kill potential is really low. Don't stay close to river walls unless you have vision of Zoe, since her E travels longer when it travels through walls. Be aware of what W spell she has, displayed next to her health bar, as she'll use that in the next trade. Medium matchups. Ari. As long as you dodge her E, her charm, with your E, you'll win most trades. Don't just dash in at first or she gets a guaranteed charm. The movement speed from your third passive proc will allow you to at least dodge her return Q damage if you're going for a trade. Take Ignite for an early kill pressure. Look for W stuns and your trade combo before she's level 6, when she's a little tougher to kill with her 3 dashes. She's not really a threat to you with your ult up. Shove and roam to help other lanes. Just remember she has slight potential with her charm to block you from using ult, so make sure you're not too low. Azir, he has heavy poke. Stay out of his soldier range. Take TP and make sure you keep up with CS and XP. You can try to ult in him anytime you land a stun or you have your ult. You can play pretty aggressive with trades after level 3. If he ever dashes to retreat, it's a very high cooldown, so he'll be vulnerable for about 20 seconds after he's dashed. If you get close, he may ult you into tower, but you can just ult back to safety. Diana, go for trade combos, then just back off. Continue until she's low enough to all in. After 6, even if she hits a Q and dashes in, you can just ult in place. There will be a high chance your hologram is within the area, allowing you to output your full combo damage and healing the damage from Diana's initial burst. Fizz, a skill matchup with a slight advantage for Fizz. Use your Q to poke him and push waves. He'll be forced to use his E to wave clear, or he'll have to farm under tower. When he's in E mid-air, use your E to dodge and then go for trades. He still has plenty of potential to ult in you, so play passively while his E is up. You can negate his ult with yours. He can very easily dodge your W with his E and Q, so don't use it unless they're both on cooldown. Katarina, mostly skill matchup. Push her in early, use your E to dodge and stay away from her daggers. She still has potential to kill you, so play cautiously. She's extremely mobile with her E blinks, making it hard to get consistent damage. Lane will most likely turn into a farm lane and roam both ways. Ward river and ping teammates when she's missing. Malzahar. Before level 6, if Malz uses his E, his Malefic Visions or Space Aids on creeps, you can go for a trade combo and try to dodge his Q. If he uses E on you, just back off, push the wave with your Q, and he won't wave clear as fast, since his E is his main wave clear. At level 6, unless you're low health, he has very little kill pressure. He's most likely just going to shove waves. Watch out especially for his flash ult. If followed up by a gank, the suppression won't allow you to ult. You can buy a QSS if you really need to carry and you have enough gold, otherwise don't ever go into team fights until his R is used or it's safe enough. Talon. Don't get close to allow him to get his return W, and especially don't allow him to proc his passive, which is 3 stacks which will be followed up by an auto attack. He will look to all in you at any time he gets this damage off. Farm safely and go for trades when he misses his W and just back off. At level 6 he can't really kill you while your ult is up. Talon's main pressure comes from constant roaming with his E wall jumps. Just ward up and ping teammates when he's missing. Push waves and force him to miss CS if he roams. Victor. His poke is annoying, so just play safe. You can go for trades if he misses E, but his Q shield will absorb some of your damage. Use your dash to avoid his stun area, especially avoid the stun after 6 since it's the only thing stopping you from ulting. Zed. You can dodge his ult with your ult right before his death mark pops. Use your E to dodge his W-E-Q combo, harass him while his shadow is down, and if it's safe. Buy Seeker's arm guard early to counter a lot of his damage. Hard matchups. Aatrox. Only go for trade when his Q is down or if you're safely able to get a W stun. Otherwise play safe and focus on farming. After 6, even if you hit everything, he's immune to your burst with his revive ult, and he can quickly turn on you. Akali, stay out of her Q range. If she hits it, she'll follow up with an empowered auto. Try to poke her with your Q while you push the wave. When she's in Shroud, stay far away until it's down. Go for trades when her Shroud is on cooldown. If you let her farm safely, she'll always stay full HP with her Q healing. She's manaless, so she'll have lane priority when she's full HP and your She can dodge your major abilities with her 2 dashes from her ult. Shove and roam when you can. Cassiopeia, a huge lane bully. Don't get hit by Q. She will follow up with E damage, so dodge it with your E when you can. Her W, her grounded poison, makes it extremely risky to ever engage her since it will stop you from using E or R. Only go for trades when her W is down. You have a chance to outplay her if you land a W stun. Galio, he's tanky, has an AP shield, hard CC and enough damage to burst you. Focus on CC and experience. Aurelia, her W will absorb your main combo. She wins extended trades, you must avoid her stun. Luckily it's telegraphed and you can dodge it with your E. Play safe and focus on getting CS and experience. Kassadin. Even in Kassadin's weak early stage, Ekko will get out-traded since Cass can absorb magic damage with his Q shield. Unless you're consistently hitting your W stun and trade combo, at level 6 he has mobility to dodge everything except E. Your only option is to get a gank early. Take Ignite for early kill pressure if that's the case. If Cass gets to 6 safely with the same farm and XP as you, he's essentially won the lane. Shoving and roaming to help other lanes is another option. LeBlanc. Use your E to dodge her Q-W combo. You can go in for trades when her W is down and try to avoid her E chain. At level 6, she can burst you, especially if she procs the snare from her chain, since you won't be able to ult. She's generally just very slippery, so hitting your skill shots is challenging. Push waves, so you force her to use her spells, especially her W on minions. A quick tip: if you manage to just get one proc of your passive and her clone gets activated, the real LeBlanc will have the passive stacks. Lissandra, don't stay directly behind minions to avoid her Q splash damage. She has a lot of hard CC at level 6, preventing you from using your ult. If followed up by a jungle gank, they can burst you before you can ult. Even if you want to trade, she can just W and make it hard for you to get your third passive proc. Taking cleanse in this situation is a solid choice. Shoving and roaming is a great option since it's hard to kill her with her ult and E up. Rise, build Mercs. He has guaranteed snare with his W and he'll output more consistent damage than you. Play safe and farm. Take TP and just focus on keeping up with CS and XP. Vladimir, he is a manaless champ with huge sustain. Even if you poke him, he will heal with his Q. Never let him get his empowered Q off, which is telegraphed, which is 2 full bars under his HP bar. He can dodge your W stun with his pull. Just play safe, push waves and roam. If you have an aggressive jungler, you can take ignite and look for early kills. Yasuo, very hard to outtrade him since he has a shield and can block your Q with his wind wall. Don't ever go aggressive on him in a minion wave. His mobility in waves is insane. He has consistent follow-up damage with Conqueror to all in you. Your best chance to outplay him is at level 6. If he ults you, use your ult right after, your hologram will most likely be in the same area. Take TP in this matchup, so even if you take bad trades early, you can keep up with CS and XP. Now let's go over gameplay. As mentioned earlier in Runes and Summoners, you must play accordingly to your build. If you're going for kills with Ignite, look for solid trades with your W-E-Q auto combo. This will chunk enemies with potential to all in them next trade. You must play extremely passive in some lanes, but still focus on pushing and picking up as much CS as possible. Don't worry too much if you fall behind in CS. Prioritize your first back for 2 Dark Seals. You have great potential for river or jungle fights in 2v2s, so look for fights when you can, preferably after you've pushed your waves. You have great roaming and gank potential, specifically once you reach level 6 with insane pressure to dive either bot or top with the added safety of your ultimate. Objectives are in your favor, making your W much easier to hit when enemies are grouped and preoccupied around towers, herald and dragon. Mid-game. There are a few options once laning phase is over, mainly split pushing or grouping for objectives. Split pushing can be an effective strategy if your team is behind. Soaking up that pressure allows your team to farm, take objectives, and even win some fights if you've successfully baited 2 or more champions. You deal a decent amount of towers with your E, and depending on your items, your Sheen and Lich Bane procs. Potential to outplay or escape will depend on your experience. Either look to all-in squishies or go for trades and back off until your CDs are up. Try to think specifically what CC the enemy has, whether you can dodge it or not, since this will likely be the biggest factor in how well you outplay them. Whether it's a 1v1, 1v2 or more. Grouping is a great option if you're ahead and want to push for objectives like Dragon, Baron or Towers. You have great dive potential, however, watch out for heavy CC champs. A well-placed W in a certain area can scare off enemies from challenging a Dragon or Baron call. If you've taken TP, then you really have the flexibility to do what you want. Even run around in the enemy jungle for squishies to burst. Potential to return to your team with TP at any time. Late game. Most of mid game applies to late game. Some games will be more challenging. Enemy squishies at this point will most likely have purchased some GAs or Zhonyas, so burst isn't so easy. Try to soak up as much attention as you can in teamfights, threatening their backline. You have plenty of stalling with your W, Zhonyas and ult. As long as you don't get stun locked, you can stall and keep the enemy backline busy for enough time for the rest of your team to gain an advantage. Although I won't go into detail for these specific roles, here are 2 other cheat sheets for top and jungle. Even though I think Ekko isn't as good in these 2 roles, if you really enjoy playing Ekko, he's still viable for these specific roles. 90% of the information in this guide still applies to Ekko no matter what role you play him. The main difference is his itemization for jungle.
Fool me once, and I'll just rewind.
Ekko is a pretty hard champ to learn, so don't be discouraged if you lose and feed the first few games. Testing your limit is important to understand Ekko's unique playstyle. He's an extremely fast-paced and fun champ to play, so all those tough games will give you the experience you need to dominate. I'm Zoose, and if this guide helped you or motivated you to play Ekko, give it a like. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to be instantly updated on my next video. This channel will have plenty of League content to enhance your gameplay, so join the community and I'll see you guys in the next video.